Everyone, according to my watch, it is the top of the hour. We are going to get started here on this Thursday. So I want to say, as always, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of Alpha State, for your engagement, for your commitment to make your best contribution. Today, we're going to have a special contributor as a guest with us. He's one of our own. He's a good friend of mine. The reason why we're bringing him on is because a common theme I've heard in the Friday worksheets, the Friday downloads, is that you need help with making calls. So we have a lot of realtors who are part of Alpha State, a lot of entrepreneurs. So reaching out to your sphere, to your database, to your list of clients is a really important skill set. So we're going to bring on my really good friend, Justin Knoll. He's going to be live from Denver, and he's going to help us with that. What you're going to be able to sit in on is a conversation that he and I are going to have all about making phone calls. So what I'm going to do right now is bring on Justin, and this is going to work. Awesome. There he is. And don't be confused by the fact that it says Deanna there on the screen. Deanna is someone on his team, but that's all good. Justin, go ahead and unmute yourself. And
gosh,
hey, there you are. Good to see you, my man.
How are you, buddy?
Doing awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of this, Justin. I so appreciate it.
Absolutely. So the joy of Zoom is we use my assistant set up, or our assistant set up the account, and I just log in as her, and it never stays with my name. So I'm always Deanna, but I changed it now. So
right.
Technology and I are in a constant wrestling match. So
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah. Well, hey, man, I so appreciate you being a part of this today. So Justin is there at his home in Denver. You all should know that Justin and I go back. He's one of my really good friends. I feel like he's one of those guys, like a brother from another mother,
right.
Kind of a person. And I'll give you all just a really quick bio, and then we'll jump in. So Justin, like I said, he's there at his home in Denver. Justin runs a really successful real estate team in Metro Denver. He's with Madison and Company, very prominent company in Denver, prominent brokerage company. Justin, for a long time, was the president of that company. Justin also is a past chair of the Colorado Association of Realtors. Justin, you're a fourth generation realtor. Do I have that right?
Yeah, it's the mob. I can't get out of this.
It is the mob.
It is, yeah.
La Familia, right?
Hey.
Yeah. So, needless to say, Justin knows a thing or two, especially when it comes to running a business, running a successful real estate business. I was thinking about this too, Justin. Something you and I have in common is that we have wives where we have definitely married up. Your wife is Piper. She's an amazing person. She's part of your team, but I think you would agree, like you and I both, like we have no business being married to the people that we're
Zero business. I am just happy to be here. That's all.
Right. Yeah. But we won't tell them. We'll just keep that our secret. All right. So
like a no hitter. Don't talk about it. It might change things. So.
Right. Awesome. Hey man. So, before you're going to help us with phone calls.
Yeah.
And before we do that, I thought it may be fun because you run this team. I thought it may be fun for you to share how you and your team have been using Alpha State just within your team, and also some of the things that you're getting out of it. And so, if it's okay, could you start with that just to walk us through how you're doing that?
So number one, thank you. Thank you for having me on, but thank you for, I can say this with sincerity. Thank you for throwing us a lifeline. And I mean by us, I mean my family, my team, and everybody on these calls. When this happened, you and I talk a lot about the 6 human needs, right? And the first one is one I focus on all the time, and that's creating certainty in your life. And you threw out a lifeline to all of us that created certainty. It was certain that I would be on a call at 8 o'clock, somewhat presentable and ready to go with a pen and paper in hand. That was a certainty that set our day up so strong. And so from that, we've done a Zoom call as a team every day at 8:30 following this call. And a lot of times we find ourselves recapping what the brilliant Eric has talked about. My team is over me. They are all about you. So we just talk about what you do, and and how you're doing it and what it means to us. So we've been able to decompress a lot and really dig into the personal side of things. I tested our team at one point during the quarantine with some challenges, some things that we wanted to challenge our skill set and make sure they were up to par. And it was tough. It was tough. I don't know if it was the right time. Emotionally, it was tough for them to handle. But after that, there was one of your alpha states that calmed everything down, and the message became very clear to me, and that is just sell homes and have some fun. That's all we're really trying to do. And so it simplified and quieted the noise. So that's what we've been getting out of this is, being able to reverse engineer some of our goals and really share those. But dude, you set us on a path that just got us back to focus. Yesterday's focus was such a great talk, but that's what this has done for us.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. I so appreciate those words. And you have an amazing team that you lead. How many people are on your team?
So it's me. I don't sell. I don't do much of anything. It's my wife, Piper. She runs the transactional side. Richie Averill, who is a budding superstar on the way up, just a super guy. We've got Beth, who's new to us. Really importantly, we've got my mom, who's about 45 years in the business, who's my hero, my mentor. And then we have an assistant / catch-all, Deanna Gibbons, who's just amazing. So it's a nice group. It's
fabulous. All of whom are part of Alpha State, which is super cool. And how many transactions do you expect to do this year as a team? Just to give people like some context. Yeah, and it'll probably change. So
it did. Our goal at the beginning of the year, we set a big goal. We were going to do over 125 transactions this year. We've really tapered that back. I think if we can get to the halfway point of that, we're feeling pretty good. And no longer is the push to do a high amount of volume. It's just to find the balance, and the opportunity for us is to build a new business model and create what we want around it. So we've tapered back quite a bit, but I think we'll do, 50, 60, 70 deals this year, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. And just seeing this as an opportunity to look in a fresh way at everything, right? You're just looking at everything. So
yeah, I'll share with you one thing that we did was with all of us coming into an office for a sales meeting, just a team meeting. We're in Wash Park, which is central Denver. For all of us to come into the office and spend our day together and go home was well over 9 hours of combined commute time. Nope, we're not doing that anymore. So we're finding new ways to connect, and so it's been huge.
Fantastic. So at the beginning, when I brought Justin on, I did kind of a bullet point bio of all the things that he does and has done. And something to add that's relevant to the conversation we'll have on phone calls is that Justin is a coach. Justin, you also coach real estate agents and have a really successful coaching business. You provide amazing value. You really help people out, help people transform not just their business, but their life. And so we're going to dig into phone calls.
Yeah.
And so you and I could probably talk about this for an hour and 15 minutes, but let's start with Justin. So if you come across a realtor or entrepreneur that's is seeming to be reluctant to make those calls, like you notice that the calls aren't happening, what in your experience, what are some of the reasons why? Like before we get to the strategies on how to do these, like let's talk about what, from your perspective, like what's really going on, do you think?
Yeah, you got to get to the root of it, like a cavity, right? And so what we do is just kind of talk about what things are holding people back. And one thing that I learned a few years ago from my coach, I have a coach and thank gosh, she saved my life daily. But one thing she talked to me about it's called Imposter Syndrome. And I'm sure many of you have heard about it. Do yourselves a favor when you get off this call or spend some time today, is just Google Imposter Syndrome and read some articles or some clinical articles and all kinds of really interesting things on it. But the bottom line is, we feel like we know the answer to something and we can help somebody, but then all of a sudden something comes in the back of the head and says, you're not qualified for that. Who says you can answer that? And now the doubt creeps in, like, what if I give the wrong answer? Especially in real estate, I find realtors that feel like they have to be so perfect and the answer has to be so right because this is somebody's largest investment. That's not our job. Obviously we're trying to mitigate risk and loss and all that, but that's not our job to be perfect. And so when I get to the root of not trying to be perfect or say the exact perfect thing at that moment, it helps tremendously. So read about the imposter syndrome. A lot of you, I imagine, will read it and go, oh my gosh, this is me to a T. I mean, she started reading this to me. I'm like, that you're defining me. And so I worked through that. So that is one thing. The other is I just don't know what to say, or it's been too long since the last time we talked. I don't know how to make that uncomfortable go away, right? It's just easier if we just don't talk, or I'll passively send a note card or an email, and that'll be sufficient. It's just not. It's just not. So those are things. I think if you can get to the root of what's scaring you and what's fearful inside, that's huge. And then we can attack the issue. But imposter syndrome will give you some confidence to know what it is.
I love that, Justin. I love that. And I'm thinking maybe we can make imposter syndrome a call or a series of calls on Alpha State. I love what you just said. It's not our job to be perfect. It's not our job to be perfect. Our job is to just connect with people and to help them out, which has nothing to do with perfection. So just let go of that, because that will forever be in the way, because, raise your hand if you're perfect, no one. So yeah, so that's good. So, all right, so let's get to strategies then. So if someone comes to you, with you as a coach, pretend I'm your client and I come to you, Justin, my coach, help me out with phone calls. Like, I know I should be doing them. I ought to be doing them. I know I would benefit, but man, I need some help. I haven't been making calls. Yeah. I need some help. How would you help?
One thing, so I coach baseball, 14-year-old kids right now, which is just a mess in itself. But one thing we preach constantly is routine and rhythm, right? You have to set a routine and a rhythm that standardizes the thing that you're doing. And the same can be said for making calls. So number one, set the stage. You have to have a place where you're comfortable talking, where you're comfortable on the phone, that you almost are inspired. So set the stage. Things that I do if I'm going to make calls for the week is I don't wake up Monday and go, oh, here's my phone. Let me just randomly start scrolling through. Oh, they look like they're fun to talk to. Sunday night, it's a very strategic night for me. It's a lot of planning. I'm figuring out who I'm going to connect with that week. I'm going through my database, trying to find, when the last time I talked to them, or if there's something on social media that sparked something. So I set the stage, and I'll go 3 to 5 people that I'm going to call every day. And those are set up Sunday night. That's just how it is. I'm not guessing and waking up going, well, what am I doing today? If I do that, I'll find something else to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So set the stage. So that's number one. Be strategic in who you're calling. Be specific about who they are. I always trick myself. One of my teachers in school, I should have learned this earlier because I was a horrible student, but one of my teachers in school said, do your hard homework first, your fun homework last. It's a treat, right? You look forward to it at the end. So I always save one person out of my 3 for the last call that I know I'm excited about, that I know I'm going to talk sports or whatever it is that I just know it's going to go well. So I set the stage and I set myself up for success every day that I do that. So those are some small things on how to set the stage. Now, find that comfy spot. For me, if I sit down during a phone call, the windpipe, the diaphragm, all that compresses, my voice gets more monotone. They can't hear the emotional tone that I have. So I always have a headset on and I'm constantly walking back and forth. You could ask my wife, there's just pace marks up and down our wood floors here. I need movement. Motion creates emotion. And so I don't sit still. I walk around, but I'm also close and anchored to an office or a point where I can take some notes, right? So I'm constantly writing notes. I got notes you should see my piles right now. It's just notes everywhere. So during a call, I'm just looking for cues. The game that I play, Eric, is to how much can I listen versus talk. I want to be the listener of the conversation. So I'll almost just drop a topic, light the wick, and let it light up and go. So my point is to talk as little as possible. If you know me, that's difficult because I talk a lot. So if you're getting to the point where you're going, okay, I'm going to make my calls. Here we go. I'm scared. This is crazy. What am I doing? I can't believe I'm doing this. And something compels you to just not do it. Reset. Get up, walk away, go on a walk, get out of your spot, and put on some music or a podcast or something. I'm a huge 1990s hip hop fan and also a heavy metal fan. And then there's like John Coltrane and Miles Davis. Depending on the mood I want to be in, I go to music and I will listen to 1 or 2 songs that I know energizes me and gets me pumped up. I need that fuel. So that'll be kind of that Kickstarter for me, is to get that going. So get some music going. And that's how I get going. Now, I've got a client that said, I will absolutely under zero circumstance make calls. And I said, okay, have you heard of Slide Dial? And she said, no. I said, well, we're going to use Slide Dial. So her job was 2 straight weeks. She made 5 calls a day on Slide Dial. Slide Dial is a program. You just dial the number. It rings straight into their voicemail. I'm not a huge proponent of it, but it's the piece of cheese that gets them doing what they need to do. 3 weeks after she started this, it was a 2-week run. And then we met 3 weeks later and I said, how'd it go? And she said, oh my gosh, they keep calling me back. Right? Is this what's supposed to happen? They're calling me back. I thought, what a horrible problem. So now the phone started ringing back. She no longer does Slide Dial and she's crushing it on 3 calls a day. So if you need that kicker, reset, get some energy, do that, or just start some Slide Dial and get that energy coming back to you. You'll find it's addictive to get that going.
Dude, this is amazing. This is great. I'm just like writing notes as fast as I can. This is awesome. What are some reasons to call? Like, that's one thing I hear sometimes. Well, sure, I know I should call someone, but what the heck should I say?
Yeah, say anything. I mean, here, I start every call the same. Hey, Eric, it's Justin. Did I catch you at an okay time? I ask permission first. Yeah. Did I catch you at an okay time? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, I got a minute. If they say no, I'm like, I am so sorry. Let's try this afternoon. I'll hit you up around 4 or 5, whatever. Okay, cool. Keep it casual, but I always ask that permission. Once I get permission, I say, hey, I've only got a few minutes before my next call. That disarms the whole, how long is this going to take thing that's going through their mind. Yeah. How am I going to get off the call? You know, ending a phone call is clumsy now. It's pretty clumsy. So give them that certainty that this won't take long. I have other things to do. I'm not going to take your day away from you. So that's how I start. Now, as far as what's a call about, I'm always scouring my notes from previous calls to them. So I'm asking about, how's that sick dog, or how's your kid's graduation, things like that. Right now, there's some easy stuff. I'm having fun with clients and just saying, dude, what are you watching on Netflix? Like what's out there? I'm a huge stand-up comedian fan. Have you watched any comedy? What's your podcast? Like anything like that. Just let them know this is a personal call. And I'm more interested in working on our relationship as a person rather than a business. And so I let that go. 100% of the time, especially right now, they are asking how things are going. That they just are. They want to
ask you. They ask you. Yeah.
How are you doing? Are you guys busy? Are you back to showing houses? Well, then I can launch into the whole list of everything I want to tell them. But I'm not leading with that. I'm just priming the pump a little bit and getting them excited to talk about anything. The other thing that I'm having a lot of success with talking to people is, what house projects are you doing right now? Everybody's doing something. So talk to me about what you've done to your house. And now I'm the connector. Now I'm like, well, we want to do this, but we need a plumber. I'm like, cool, I'll call you in a minute with a plumber. Right. So that's my chance to get people connected. There's plenty of reasons to call right now, but have fun with it. How's the family? How's the pets? Are you guys locked down? What are you doing? I wouldn't get into the political, what's your view on this or that, but just make sure they're okay. And that's really the biggest thing. It's that simple, Eric. I mean, it sounds like, well, that's not going to work. Try it and call me. It works.
Absolutely. And what you're doing is you're making calls that you would anyway, whether you were in real estate or you were a full-time baseball coach or you were whatever. Those are the calls you would make anyway. You would call people you care about and you would ask them all those things. What's up? What are you doing? How's the family? What's it like to be a homeschool teacher?
Yeah.
Watch on Netflix. Like all that stuff is stuff you would do anyway. Just do that. So it's always the best news is that you get to just be yourself. Just be yourself, and that generally works out.
Eric, one thing I will say, I know we're up against the time here, but have something prepared behind that is business related. So I'm a stats guy, I'm a data guy, but there's some interesting stuff out there. I always want to give to them the 6 magic words, right? What this means to you is. It's the 6 magic words, what this means to you is. So when they say, how's it going, all this, say, well, here's what I'm doing. I'm turning into more of a student of the market right now because there's so much data that's yet to be deciphered and what it means. But here's my promise to you as a client. I'm going to study the heck out of this, and I'm going to share what I learned with you. And I'm going to tell you what it means to you. And I'm going to share with you annual real estate review, and I'm going to share with you our marketing strategies on how we're going to work through this market. That's my promise to you. How powerful is that? And then I can say, so the things, let me just tell you real quick what I'm focused on. I track notice of the election and demands, right? This is when the mortgage company starts that foreclosure proceedings. If you see a 2-month trend, that's a tipping point. That's what I'm telling clients. So now in 2 months, they're going to probably call me and be like, how's that? What was that? I don't know what that is, right? But they remember something's happening in a couple of months. If there's a trend, there's a tipping point. The other thing is, there was a stat out there that I got from somebody at a high up in a bank. 60% of US mortgages are at 5% or less in down payment. 60% of our mortgages are at 5% down or less. You think that's going to change the market? Those are the things we want to tell them. I didn't say what it's going to do to the market, right? I don't have to be perfect. It's going to change the market. It will affect the market. So those are kind of things I want you guys just have something you can bring to the table that separates you from the herd. That's what.
Yeah, and keep it not even in your back pocket, but your front pocket. Ready. Be ready for them to ask something to the effect of, "Yeah, so how is the market? What is going on in real estate?" Then boom, then you can just be there with a great value add little nugget of information that positions you as an expert, as a trusted advisor, and then you're off and running. But you never have to lead with that. You just lead with true sincere connection. Justin, man, you brought it. I'm guessing that the audience would maybe like to have this guy back at some point in the future. What I'm going to do, Justin, I made pretty good notes. I'm going to turn this into just like a one pager. I'll put your contact information on it just so people can have these bullet points. And I think that would be super helpful. If people want to check out some of your coaching content, you have a Facebook page, is that a good place to send people? Or
So I've got a website, justinknoll.co. Some guy in San Francisco named Justin Knoll has the .com. I'm trying to buy it from I don't want to pay for I got to pay for that extra M. It's just dumb. So justinknoll.co, or just go to Facebook page Knoll Coaching and Consulting. I'm sending out a video a week just on some tips on what I'm seeing, what you guys should be doing, stuff like that. But yeah, you could track me down. Eric, I'll tell you, we started this a few weeks ago. Our team has 13 under contract right now. And so this stuff works. TSW. This
awesome. It's so awesome, man.
Cool.
Hey, fist bump to you, my man.
Brother.
Fist bump to all the alphas out there. I love you all. Thank you again for being so engaged, so committed to all of this, making our very best contribution. You're going to get a series of videos from me next week because I'm going to be off at Lake Powell, but you'll all be in my thoughts. Wish you all the best. Have an amazing Thursday. Thank you again, Justin. We'll talk to you all really soon.
Thank you. Thank you.